Am I the asshole for choosing my best friend as my best man instead of my stepbrother? I'm 24 male, getting married to my fiancée, 28 female, in 2 weeks. My stepbrother, Pete, 25 male, is mad that I chose my best friend, Charles, 28 male, as my best man. Honestly, choosing Charles was a no-brainer because Pete and I aren't close. Yeah, we're stepbrothers, but we never lived together. I used to live with my mom and he lives with my dad and stepmom. We didn't go to school together. We only hung out when I visited my dad, and even then, the times he came out of his room when I was over were few and far between. Even in the last 6 months, I can count on one hand the number of times I've talked to Pete. Whereas I've talked to Charles pretty much every day in the last 6 months. I used to invite Pete to do things with me and call to chat so we could actually have a brotherly relationship, but he never accepted any of my invitations or answered any of my calls, so I gave up trying. He's made it clear to me that he doesn't want much to do with me. On the other hand, Charles and I are really close. Charles and I have known each other for 11 years and we used to hang out pretty much every day. He chose me as his best man for his wedding. He's like an older brother to me. I've gone to him for advice and I've been there for him when he needs me. If I'm being completely honest, I see Charles as a brother while I don't really see Pete as a brother, or even a step-brother, just the son of the woman my dad married. Nothing against Pete. He seemed like a decent guy and he was, and still is, invited to the wedding. He just wasn't in the wedding party because he's basically a stranger. Anyway, the whole reason I made this post is because I got a text from Pete earlier today. He found out I chose Charles as my best man and said he was hurt that I didn't choose him, then he demanded I make him my best man. I apologized and said I was sticking with Charles and he messaged back, saying he wasn't coming if he wasn't my best man. Around half an hour after that, I got a call from my stepmom. She went off on me for not choosing Pete as my best man. She said I should have chosen him because we're brothers. She ended her rant by saying she wasn't coming if Pete wasn't my best man, then she hung up. Shortly after that, I got a text from my dad saying I should just make Pete my best man to keep the peace. Now there's this little voice in the back of my head that's wondering if I should just make Pete my best man. Am I the asshole for choosing my best friend instead of my stepbrother as my best man? Not the asshole. Why is everyone making your wedding about them? I'd say something like, insert family member name, I'm sorry you've chosen to not attend our wedding, we love you all, but this day is about us and our love, and unfortunately this is what I've chosen for my wedding, and if you can't be there to support us unless we choose Pete, that's your decision. Not the asshole. Why can't Pete keep the peace and accept that he isn't your best man? Why can't Pete compromise since it's not his wedding? You shouldn't have to compromise on your wedding day that you and your fiancé are paying for. If he doesn't want to come, then so be it. It'll save you the cost of 2-3 people. Not the asshole. YWBTA if you made Pete your best man though. Not the asshole and everyone just discovered 2 weeks before the wedding he wasn't the best man. That shows how out of touch he is with you in your life. No, not change a thing. If they don't come, they don't come. But make sure they know that's a bridge they're burning and they will have to be the ones to rebuild it when they have to cross back over. Not the asshole. Your wedding, your choice. Even if he was your bio brother, it would be okay for you not to have him as best man. Just tell him and stepmom they're entitled to choose what they want to do. The same as you are entitled to do what you want to do. Your dad's the he should stick up for you. Your day, your choice. Stepmom and stepbro don't have to go. Am I the asshole for refusing to give my video game that contained witchcraft and magic spells? Guys, I am so tired. I 28 am having an argument with my mother who I live with 56F, and it largely involves her religious beliefs regarding video games I play. Too long did not read. My mother is very heavy into Christian studies and is going to school for it, but I used to think she had an understanding that I personally had no real beliefs much like hers. So we just each stayed in our lanes with living together. However, due to a messy family situation involving my nana, dad's mom, who is having her mental health decline recently, especially regarding her faith, my mom has really been invested in prayer and biblical studies a lot more. Cut to yesterday and she comes up to me saying something like Nana is currently under attack by a familial spirit and it represents a family curse on our bloodline. And we need to cast out any chance of demons or evil spirits coming into our house. She then tells me to go through my video games and get rid of the ones representing any witchcraft, magic, or evil demonic forces, and she would pay me for everything I got rid of. While I was a bit surprised, I really think that the only games in my collection that fit that very specific agenda were Dead by Daylight and Resident Evil 4 Remake. Big stretch, I know. Well, unfortunately that wasn't enough. My mother has then said that any game I play that involves using magic of any sort needs to go, and that is a big problem for me. I really like RPGs and have a lot in my library of games. For example, Final Fantasy X, Tales of Vesperia, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, Persona, and most recently Expedition 33. I no joke would be losing about 85% of my game library if I went through with this nonsense. So I simply told her no, I am not giving those up. As expected, she didn't like that and said that, "We invoke negative spirits through media we are not aware of, so it harms the family by those games being outlet for the bad spirits to get into our home. So embracing my hobbies and playing games I like is causing a family curse?" Yeah, okay mom. I again refused, and she is basically saying that we need to involve ourselves with God so he can protect our family. I grow rather bitter towards God over the years because of this mindset, but I think me completing forsaking my interests and hobbies for a supposed family curse is just a ridiculous ask. So Reddit, am I the asshole for saying no to giving my video games? Okay, first of all, not the asshole of course. But secondly, which part of her beliefs are even Christian? She's obsessing about family curses and negative spirits. If I were Christian, the first thing I'd say those are quite heathen ideas. Not the asshole, but time to get your own place. Even rent a room elsewhere. Why on earth are you not wanting to start a life? This sounds like a 15-year-old's problem. She comes up to me saying something like Nana is currently under attack by a familial spirit and it represents a family curse on our bloodline. And we need to cast out any chance of demons or evil spirits coming into our house. This is not Christian theology. Is your mother studying at a reputable school? This sounds really weird and cult-like. It's making me think of voodoo. Not the asshole, but the hell classes is she taking? I must admit that I'm a bit skeptical that the local college is hosting a seminar called "Drive the Devil's Video Games Out of Your Household Lest Your Family Incur a Curse." Not the asshole. Sounds like your mom could be experiencing religious psychosis and needs some professional help. But I agree with other commenters that it's time to get your own place and escape that environment so you can do what you want. Not the asshole, but your mom is experiencing religious psychosis as a means to cope with hard times. Am I the asshole for telling my mother-in-law she can't just let herself in anymore? My mother-in-law has a habit of coming over unannounced, sometimes early in the morning or late at night, because she was in the neighborhood. We have a keypad on our front door, and anytime we give her the code so she can check on the house while we're gone, she keeps it and uses it whenever she wants. It's worth noting we return the favor when they're out of town, but we leave her spare key where she keeps it hidden and don't pop in when she's home without calling ahead first. Also, it's a PIDA to delete and recreate new passcodes on our particular pad. We've already changed the code twice because of this, but I don't want to have to keep changing it every time we give her access to the house. Last week, she let herself in while I was working from home, made small talk, and then began reorganizing our kitchen while insisting our daughter needed more snacks. We don't keep too many sweets in the house. I told her that moving forward, I'd appreciate a heads up before coming over and that the code is for when we're away, not an open invitation. She got offended, said I'm pushing her out of her child's life, and now my spouse is stuck in the middle. Am I the asshole for not wanting to give her free rein to walk into my house whenever she feels like it? She's not going to respect your boundaries, so make your boundaries stronger, change the code. Not the asshole. However, you have a spouse problem. They should not be stuck in the middle. They should be the one setting the limit with their own mother, rather than setting you up to be the bad guy. Not the asshole. Your spouse is only in the middle because they're not standing with you. Not the asshole. She isn't going to stop, though, especially if your spouse doesn't stand with you. You aren't asking for anything unreasonable. A heads up before stopping in is more than fair. If she absolutely can't control herself, you may need to change the code and find a different house sitter. Not the asshole. As someone else said, your spouse should not be stuck in the middle. He should not be supporting his mother intruding on your home, your work, your child rearing, or your kitchen. If he's fine with her letting herself in whenever she wants, that's your real problem. It sounds like the only solution for now may be to have someone else check on your house. If giving mother-in-law the code means she keeps using it, you just have to stop giving her the code. Not the asshole, stop giving her access to the house and ask another trusted friend to check on the house while you're gone. She's made it clear she doesn't respect your boundaries. You have a husband problem as well. Not the asshole. She's overstepped your boundaries. But do you really need her to check on your house? Can you ask a neighbor or install cameras? Am I the asshole for not attending a wedding with my family that we weren't invited to? I made a throwaway account for this. Alright. This week has been super hectic and full of stress. I, 24F, was not going to make this post in the first place because I thought I was doing the right thing, but my family has basically convinced me that I'm not. I'll try to keep things short and straightforward. Last week, there was a wedding of one of our family friends, 28F. For some information, every major holiday, Easter, July 4th, Thanksgiving, etc., my family along with other relatives always go to their house. We have been close, and my parents have known their family for more than 30 years. To sum up, this group consists of about 25 people. Now, my immediate family and relatives were not invited to this wedding. We found out because another member of the group asked my parents how they were going to get there, and then they realized we aren't invited. I guess those people didn't know we weren't invited, not surprised, as they probably assumed we're going. I'm not going to lie, it did sting. I mean, I've basically known these people my entire life. It was confusing, since we meet multiple times a year for major events, and all of a sudden we're not invited to their daughter's wedding. My parents are also relatively cool people, don't cause problems or anything. I can understand the frustration of my family, cousins, and relatives. But at the end of the day, they didn't invite us and there is nothing we can do about it. However, my family's reaction to the situation was different. They basically had the mindset of, it's ridiculous they didn't put us on the list, and we're gonna go. I did not agree with this, and told them that I will not be attending, as I don't want to force myself in. Most of my cousins, siblings, and relatives essentially told me that I'm not supporting them and that I should understand how ridiculous this is. I told them that I understand why they're upset, but all they did was try and convince me as to why I'm wrong. Long story short, I ended up not going with them last weekend. One of my other cousins also did not want to go, but she was basically forced and felt pressured. According to her, things were very awkward at the wedding with the bride's family, for obvious reasons. I guess my family and relatives got lucky considering there weren't fixed tables, and people basically sat anywhere. Currently, the issue is that there is a sort of after event happening next week, and my family is gonna go to that, which they aren't invited to as well. This past week has been worse than the last, with them telling me I'm not supportive of any of them, and that I should understand. I just can't wrap my mind around going to something that I'm not invited to. It's as if everyone's worst traits came out these past 2 weeks. Edit. Format, grammar. Info. A lot of people are asking if my family was invited to the major events all of these years. For those events, the invite was specifically sent over text or email. Not the asshole. Your family sucks. There could have been a host of reasons they weren't invited, including the daughter not considering them to be close to her just because you were all close to her parents. Showing up made your family look tacky AF, and the fact they are planning to do it again is unbelievable. Don't give in to them. The other family probably thinks that you are the only classy one of the bunch. If this is how your family react to not being invited to something, and to your feelings about crashing a wedding, you gotta know now that they're not relatively cool people who don't cause problems. You know this because they're being jerks and causing problems right now. Not the asshole. Sorry you're dealing with this. Not the asshole. It is rude as heck to show up to a wedding when you were not invited. You did the right thing. The rest of the family, on the other hand, was incredibly disrespectful to the bride and groom by crashing their wedding. I wouldn't be surprised if that ends their relationship with the bride and her family for good. Not the asshole. I'm wondering if your family has been forcing itself on these people for years and they have finally had enough. It sounds like your family feels entitled to his other family's hospitality at every major event and won't take no for an answer. I'm struggling with the sheer audacity of people just turning up at a wedding because they thought they should have been invited. People don't just decide to do that sort of thing on the spur of the moment, it's part of a pattern of ongoing behavior, entitlement and running roughshod over other people's feelings and hospitality. Perhaps the other family just hasn't had the guts to say anything before now. You are most definitely not the asshole, you simply don't go to a wedding that you haven't been invited to. You said that your family goes to their house every major holiday. Maybe the other family views yours as freeloaders? You don't ever host them? Then your family crashes their wedding? Stay responsible and stay home. Sometimes you're going to be the most mature person in the room. This is one of those times. You were absolutely right not to show up uninvited. Your family, sadly, is being incredibly crass on this one. Not the asshole.